Working on your self-esteem is a gradual process. And for me to get to that step or to get to where I am right now, it had to take certain steps that I believe can help even other viewers out there. So if there's one thing that I really stuck to is the fact that you have to fake it until you make it.
Okay.
So there's a famous saying that says you are the average of, five of your friends. You are the average of those people. You want to be a millionaire in 7 days. God has been the center of everything. Because sometimes I try to imagine myself, as someone who apparently does not believe in God. I wouldn't be the same person that I am today.
Greetings, people. Greetings, beloved. Welcome back to our first series of A Letter to My Young Self. In this episode, we've invited someone. We've been planning to do this for a long period of time. Hopefully, this is going to be something we're all going to profit from. Therefore, without saying much, I would like to introduce our very own Lawrence Chama. Lawrence Chama, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone else who is connected to Eden Media. Thank you for sparing time to listen to this particular interview.
All right, so we've had quite a lot of conversation, talking on bringing you here and, speaking of the things that we're going to talk about. Now, finally, we've met, and it's an amazing time to have you here, and I hope we are going to have a profitable conversation. So without saying much, I would like us to know about you. Can you tell us who you are, where you come from, and all those things? Yes.
Okay, so my name is Lawrence Chama, and I'm mostly known for being firstly a student. I'm an engineering student at the National School of Applied Sciences in Fez, Morocco. And then on the side, I am also known for being an award-winning public speaker, and then I'm also a debater at the same time. And aside from that, I am a well-known leadership advocate who has worked with a number of organizations and clubs, and I believe my impact is yet to, reach out to others. And I am more than glad that what I do is something that helps the youths and something that helps them develop into being better versions of themselves.
Wow, that's truly great, and it's an honor to have you here. First things first, we are going to review the letter that you wrote, and we would like you to read it unto us to hear what you would like to share to the people. So this is the letter that he wrote. He's going to share with us what he would like to advise to his young self. Therefore, let's listen and pay attention.
Okay, so this is the letter that I wrote to my younger self. Having grown up, like most of us, I did go through a number of challenges, and if I had to advise my younger self, this is what I would like him to know. Okay, so I read it out. To my younger self, I am more than excited to get to write to you, knowing that there's literally nothing I would want to change about every single phase that you are yet to encounter. However, there is a significant amount of consultation I would like to offer you as you grow older and meet different kinds of people. Firstly, you would agree with me that one thing you would have struggled with the most for the longest time was the lack of self-confidence and low self-esteem. Lawrence Chama, the quietest of all of Mr. Chama's children. You have one bright future ahead of you, but to get there, one thing you will constantly have to work on is your self-confidence and self-esteem. Do not be afraid to do things you know are good for you, but might require a bit of work. Just push yourself and do it. Secondly, continue to stay grounded and focused on what is important in the long run. Your education, the right friends, and the best habits. On this area of your life, I would give you a 9.8 out of 10 for picking the right company at all times. In addition to that, a few of your colleagues that are bad seeds will eventually serve as an example to avoid, given that you don't follow in their steps. Most of them have it figured out through their parents, and then some are still constantly following blindly in their colleagues' decisions. The goal is to stay focused on where you want to be in life. Always remember where you come from. Thirdly, I would encourage you to avoid envying others as much as you can. In this life, we all come from different backgrounds with different stories to tell and different setbacks to overcome. Yours is a unique one. At a particular point in life, you might want to question yourself as to why you were born in a certain part of the world, or why you were not born in a rich family like some people are. But the truth is, God knew why you are placed where you are. The moment you understand that fact, you will learn to appreciate wherever life takes you even more. Additionally, remember to stay focused on your goals and future aspirations. Continue to constantly visualize yourself somewhere, and remember to always push yourself to attain what you want. Your family and friends have always been your biggest support system, and they will be there for you in the most circumstances of your life. Always remember and always keep them close and cherish them dearly. Avoid trying to fill up that space with a girlfriend, as most girls your age are just as clueless as you are and cannot offer the same amount of love your family and friends will. Last but not the least, always put God in your plans. The word of God says that we may make plans and aspirations, but only God can help us bring them to life. That is the paraphrased Proverbs 16 verse 9. You will encounter certain challenges that will bring you down, but you will only be able to rise once you understand who you are in Christ. Once you understand that trials and tribulations are meant to make us stronger, you will cherish them more and not despise them. Continue to be of love to others and do everything out of love because Christ loved us first. From your other self, Chama.
Wow, that was a very nice piece that you wrote unto your younger self. And how I wish you could have listened to that earlier. Yeah, so you've mentioned quite a number of things in your letter, but now we are going to look first on the thing that you mentioned to say self-confidence and low esteem. You had challenges with that, and how did you handle it, and how are you dealing with it right now?
The idea of improving on your self-confidence and working on your self-esteem is a gradual process. And for me to get to that step, or to get to where I am right now, it had to take certain steps that I believe can help even other viewers out there. So if there's one thing that I really stuck to, is the fact that you have to fake it until you make it.
Okay.
So naturally, if you ask a lot of people that I have encountered with, they will possibly tell you that, especially those that I've known from a very younger age, they would tell you that I have not always been the most confident person, because I was a very shy person and I used to shy away from a lot of things. But at the same time, I used to try to push myself to do certain things, but most of the times I used to shy away from those things. So the first step I took was to fake it. So by faking it, it's just a step of forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone. Because apparently there is no growth in the comfort zone. You have to learn to do things that make you uncomfortable. So for me, coming out as a confident person was not something that was uniquely part of me or initially part of me. So I had to push myself to being that confident person. So I had to fake it, and eventually you get used to it, and before you know it, you are this particular confident person that everyone else looks up to.
Okay, so I've seen you you've been participating in debates and quite a number of things. Was that the thing that you used to fake, or maybe?
I wouldn't really say that was all fake.
Yeah.
But like I said initially, it was all a gradual process.
Yes.
So the idea of me coming out of my comfort zone started off in church.
Okay.
So as we grew up, we were mostly, advised to do memory verses, and you get to present them in front of the church so that everyone else can get to listen to what you have to, say to them. So for me, it started from there. And I was not always that confident person, but the moment that I stood on the stage, I turned out to be a very confident person. So that was the initial part of faking it. So that particular stage was mostly faking it. But the more I got to expose myself to new things, the more I got out of my comfort zone, the more it became a whole part of me. So if I say that I've been faking it throughout those debates, would not be entirely true, because at this particular point, I would say it's become something that I am comfortable doing, and not something that makes me extremely uncomfortable. So firstly, try to fake it if you can. If you can't be naturally confident, then eventually it becomes a part of who you are.
All right. Thank you for that insight. Yes. So you've also mentioned of having friends. How have friends and good habits impacted your life in the later?
Okay, so for me, I think picking the right friends is really going to be the best decision you can ever make for yourself. So for me, I have the best friend that I could ever think of. Um, Not so long ago, I encountered quite a number of challenges, quite a number of setbacks. I think those that would, have had a personal encounter with me, they will get to tell you of some of the challenges that I faced, because some of them were actually public. So one of them was, the time I had been through debt, and during that particular phase, I don't think I would have managed to get out of it on my own. So my friends were always there for me during that particular time. When I was going through a very tough time of my life, they were always there for me. And in times when I felt like I was alone, they were constantly there to remind me that we're in this together. So I think the right friends that the friends that you pick are really going to impact who you are. There's a famous saying that says you are the average of 5 of your friends. You are the average of those people. So the people that you spend the most time with, 5 of them, the average is part of who you are. So it might not be exhaustively true, but it speaks fast in the fact that those people that you get to spend the most of your time with, in a way or the other, you get to develop some of their traits, and they get to become part of you. So for me, I would say it's very, very important to pick the right friends, because those friends are really going to impact who you are. And it's best to try to find people that you think can challenge you to be the best version of yourself. Because if you can constantly challenge yourself to get better, you will eventually be the better version of yourself. Because the Bible even says, iron sharpens iron. So you can't just find people that are doing ratchet things and then think you will stand out from them. It's not always the truth. But apparently the bad seeds are going to eventually influence you. So you need to pick the right people to be in your circle.
All right. And you've talked of habits. Yeah. We know when you have friends with probably different habits from you, you face challenges in your life and things won't go as you are planning to go. But can you give us some insight in the odd habits that probably wouldn't have helped you to become the person that you're becoming right now?
When it comes to habits, it's a bit of a wide topic, but for me, if there are insights I would give on habits that perhaps I would have to, avoid, it would firstly be, the common vices that most of us as youths tends to involve ourselves in. So for me, especially during my junior secondary school, I did encounter quite a number of different kinds of people, different backgrounds and different ways in which they were raised up. So at that particular time, that is when I got exposed to a lot of things that possibly I would, if it's a one-on-one conversation with my younger self, that I would tell them to avoid. So the first one, of course, is a common one. It would be, the idea of drinking. So drinking, smoking, and all those kinds of vices would be something that I would, tell people to avoid, because from there it's a bit of it gets into a very difficult loop where you fail to avoid to get you fail to get out of it, because apparently addictions come into the conversation, and then you try to stop, and then the idea of financial management, because drugs can be expensive. So it gets very tricky that you don't really know how to manage yourself from there. So if it's habits that on a in a much more grave situation, avoid those vices. And then on a lower perspective, if the habits I would advise myself for others to avoid, it would be maybe things like procrastination. Because for me, I really suffered a lot when it comes to procrastination. I'm that type of a person who would leave things for the last minute, and then get to struggle to do them, even though eventually I would end up doing them, but it would not be the best thing to do, because it ends up putting you in a very difficult situation. You end up getting stressed, and you just have so much to do within a short period of time. So those are particularly some of the insights I would give when it comes to habits. Always go for the good habits and avoid bad habits, because bad habits are really hard to get out of in that particular context.
Okay, all right. And you've talked of envying and comparing yourself to others in the letter. Can you share what used to happen, or maybe how have you managed it until now?
Okay, so when it comes to envy, I think at this particular point in time, I would particularly say use that envy to improve yourself, if I would put it that way. Not use that envy to look down on yourself, but use it to be the better version of yourself. So when I was younger, most cases I used to find myself, comparing myself to other people, especially when it comes to things that I feel like I cannot do. So there'll be very common instances where I try to compare myself to a particular person who is possibly doing better than me in life, and then the usual outcome was lack of self-esteem, because you get to look down on yourself. You get to think that I'm not doing enough, maybe I should put in some more effort, but initially you're doing your best. So the idea of envying people is not a very good one, especially because of the fact that it might end up developing into jealousy. Because if you envy someone so much to a point where you feel like you can't get to their level, what usually comes out of it is jealousy. And from jealousy, a lot of things can come out from there, and not a good thing comes out of jealousy. So envying other people was really something that I didn't really struggle with, but if it would be advising my younger self, it's avoided by any means.
Okay, all right. We've talked much about the later, the things that used to happen. And obviously now you have set your goals, you have future aspirations. And what are the things that you would like to share that you've put in place to stay focused to those things?
Okay, so for me, there's really a lot of things that I have, put in place for myself. So, firstly, I try to set goals, and I tried to set goals that are feasible. Because in most cases, you might feel like you are motivating yourself to do better, but you are motivating yourself to do things that are not feasible. So in my case, I really, I'm very deliberate when it comes to doing something that I want. So for myself, I really do journaling. So I really just like journal what I want to do. I write it down and I go onto my calendar. I try to make a plan and see if I can, achieve what I want to achieve within a particular time. So I would say for me, being deliberate about what I want and setting a proper feasible plan is what has actually helped me even up to this far. Because apparently, if you just want to do something, if you say you want to be a millionaire in 7 days, it's not possible. And I think we were having this conversation with my friends not so long ago, just yesterday. We were, talking about. No, it was actually today.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually today. I was with my friends. We went to certify some of our documents, just at these offices of certifications, and we were just like having this conversation where like one of us said, "I want to be, and I'm going to be a millionaire in I think 7 years." Obviously, it can be possible, but it's not a very feasible goal. Okay, so you need to like come up with something that you can do. You look at your capabilities, you look at your resources, and you try to plan for the future. Can I do this? Can I actually do this? And then you get to go for it. So that is how I go about things, and that is how I've been able to achieve some of the things that I've actually achieved even up to this far.
All right. Thank you for sharing with us that. And we've heard people saying, no, you should have goals that scare you, dreams that that you should be afraid of. But I think what you've shared is quite important to know. And lastly, we would like to know what role God has played in your life so far until now.
Okay, so for me, I think God has been the center of everything. Because sometimes I try to imagine myself, as someone who apparently does not believe in God. I wouldn't be the same person that I am today. I think, God has been able to keep me grounded even up to this far. And even in the toughest of times, I have always dedicated myself, even to the work of God as much as I can. There's something that, apparently it gets so, overwhelming with something that you have to do. You have to do this, you have to do that. But as much as my schedule can actually get busy, I try as much as I can to give back and to, serve in a church or wherever I can. So because apparently I know that it is because of God that I have come this far. And on my own, I wouldn't be where I am today. So if it's actually just stating it out clearly, what role has God played in my life? I think God has directed my life even up to this far. Because without God, I wouldn't be where I am today.
All right. Thank you. Without proceeding to the next question, are there some things that you would like to advise someone or maybe share with us that maybe probably we didn't ask you, but you really love to share with us?
Okay, so I think for me, if there's something that I would, want to encourage the youths out there, stay focused on yourself. In your 20s is the time to, try out different kinds of things. It's not the time to, focus on other things that might not benefit you in the future. Try as many things as you can, try to explore different kinds of things, and eventually you find something that works for you. And also, do not be afraid of, failure. Do not be afraid of failing. In your 20s or in your youth is a time when you can try out different things, fail as much as you can, but always get up and, get to do what you want. So that is the advice I would, have for the people out there. Try out different kinds of things, focus on what you want to do, and always be deliberate about it, because you don't really have to have other people pushing you, but you have to try to push yourself as much as you can.
All right. So thank you for having you, and
Thank you so much for having me.
thank you for coming. And we've learned quite a lot of things in the presentation that you had, and we are looking forward to the next one. We would like to have you again to learn more, and we would have gone as much as an hour talking right now, but I think with that being said, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
So that was it for this video, and I hope we've learned quite a number of things. I would encourage each one of us to at least subscribe, share, and let us continue to watch the videos. So with that, thank you, and see you in the next video.